Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast. For today, we're going to flip it upside down. We're going to do this episode a little bit different because, I'm all about development, continuing to become a better version of yourself so we can really have the impact we need to have on the construction industry. I'm super excited to be joined by Dave again. David, it's great to have you here.
Hey, man, I'm great to be back, man. Again, the other day I saw my calendar. Football starts this weekend. You're my football text buddy of what's going on with those Buckeyes. So I was like, I need to get back with Ron again. So I'm excited to be here, man.
Hey, I'm really excited to be here too, because we had you on. We talked about what makes a construction champion.
Yeah.
And today we're going to walk through some crazy shit that we did together with me on, continuing to get better and kind of help people understand some of that out there. But first, we were just talking about ice baths off the air. I do ice baths.
Yeah, man.
Ice baths.
I love them.
How's it going?
I hate love them. Well, someone told me once, it's like, you got to start your day doing something you don't want to do. Right. It's like, and it's part of my routine to hop in that ice bath. And even right before you do it, you set that timer for 5-minute countdown and you can get through it because I've done it for 30 days straight. But that first put your toe in sucks. And then you get, and I've got this game. It's like, if I can get to 1 minute, I can definitely get to 5, So, and then you were telling me about how you get through yours.
Yeah, no, I don't. So it's amazing how you have the same mindset. Like, it's all about getting in. And every morning I get in mine and I go, damn, this is cold today. I think it's the coldest it's been. And it's always like the same temperature. And, I get in there. I spend 10 minutes in mine. I don't get mine as cold as yours are right now. I just pour ice in there. So I get it to around 60 degrees and I spend 10 minutes in there and I put on YouTube and all this into like Andy Frisello, Jocko, Ed Milet, somebody on there talking about being a savage and just killing it. And I spend 10 minutes in there just thinking about that. In freezing, I like to call it freezing hell. It's absolute hell, but instead of being hot, you're frozen.
Exactly. And it's funny because once you get past that minute, and maybe it's a mental hypnotic trance I did on myself. Like, I told myself once I hit a minute, my body goes numb, so I don't feel it anymore. And maybe I just play that game. My wife does this thing where she watches YouTube where people are working out in the gym and they're sweating. So she tries to imagine that she's in the gym sweating, even though she's freezing her booty off, right? So whatever we got to do, we know it's better for us. It creates that dopamine hit and it gets us energized. I don't need that coffee hit in the morning and it gets my day started.
Yeah, it almost has become addicting. Like, you get that, like, I know I'm going to get out of bed and I'm just going to walk down and I'm going to get in the ice bath. Like, that's how my day.
It's a love-hate. It's like, it's part of the routine. Even though you hate it, you got to do it. It reminds me of Michael Tyson. It's the discipline is learning to love the things you hate, learning to do the things you hate and acting as if you love it. Right.
Absolutely.
But anyways, on that, few weeks ago, you gave me the opportunity to present you the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. This is where I start all my business owners with. As you know, I work with a lot of the construction business owners. It's a little woo-hooey.
Yeah, before we dive into that, why don't just for guys that haven't heard of you or didn't hear the episode you on before, why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do so they have a baseline? Because I know you help guys in the construction industry go from a few million to multiple eight figures.
So
what you do.
So what we do, right, is I've got an electrical engineering background, undiagnosed dyslexic all through high school, was never the smart kid. But in my mind, I never believed I was the smart kid. Learning later that those were the bullshit stories I taught myself or self-hypnotized myself into thinking that I wasn't smart. But then I got out with an electrical engineering degree. I spent 22 years in the service industry for IT, putting multi-million-dollar service contracts together, clients like Apple and Walmart and Chevron. So I've done all the verticals with oil and gas, manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. And 5 years ago, I was laid off. And then I just went back to my roots. My grandfather ran a countertop manufacturing plant back in Columbus, Ohio, when I was a kid. He supplied all Ryan homes back in the 70s and early 80s. And unfortunately, he passed away when I was like before 12 years old. So I think that, what I've learned since then is that imprint is birth to 7. So I think just hanging out with grandpa to the age of 10 planted the seed of, I want to own my own business. So 5 years ago, when I was laid off, I took all the neuroscience that I learned. My oldest daughter's autistic. I learned that I was fat and miserable in my life. I had a mentor tell me your life sucks because of your best thinking. And I started on this journey of personal discovery and how to rewire our thoughts. You know, some of your people listening, neuroplasticity. Neuro is our brain, neurological thoughts. Language, the language we speak, our language triggers emotions or neuro memory in our brain. So NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, where our brain is programmed to hear words in a certain ways, which will dictate the emotion and action we'll take or not take, right? So one of the things that triggered me is, yeah, we help these business owners assess how they're programmed, what their language patterns dictates their emotion triggers responses when they do or don't take action. And what I've found is a lot of these business owners that are in a construction world, they've made it to that $2 million revenue mark, but now it's like it's all in their head, like all the weight's on their shoulders. They're doing it, like they're wearing every hat, which is cool. But a lot of these business owners started a business to create generational wealth and get away from having to work for somebody, but now they've built themselves a job that they're kind of starting to hate. So that's where we meet the business owners. And we're going to go through the ELI, what we did with you, and just see how these energetic patterns and how these emotional patterns that are programmed in us at such a young age dictates where we will and won't take action. And a lot of times what we do is we help them identify their programming so that we can put new systems in place, learn how to build out the teams, delegate the systems and operations, build out their team, input, digital tools, project management tools, Pipedrive and Trello and Monday.com. And a lot of these business owners, like they know they need tools, but have never, stubborn men. You don't ask for directions, do you? Right. Well, now we got Google Maps, so I'm dating myself. But it's one of those things, right? It's like it's hard to ask for help because then it kind of proves that maybe I'm not smart enough or good enough. But that's where we meet face to face. And it's like, no, man, you are smart enough. You got to 2 million. That's less than what 1% of the businesses out there will ever reach that $1 million mark. So I hope I didn't go too long on that. But yeah, that's kind of what we do.
No, let's dive in. So to pre-wrap, like this is no BS, no bullshit. This is Dave reached out to me, said, hey, I want to do this with you. We did it. I was like, this is something we should record an episode and talk about because are in the construction industry. And I am one of the people that are very responsible for having this mentality is where we feel like we shouldn't have to do stuff like this because we're too strong to get through it. But fuck, we're fighting our mind. Our mind's the strongest thing we have. So going through exercises like this, and what I wanted to do was bring Dave on here and open the door and everything we're going to talk about. It's real. Like I took I did this. We did this to others. So this is real stuff. And I want people to be open and to think about like how you can take yourself to the next level with anything. If you're willing to open up and understand that your mind controls a lot of what we do every day.
Yeah, and I love that. That just popped in my head. It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And what most people don't understand is 95% of our daily actions derive from our unconscious programming. We don't even know we're doing it. It's just we're so programmed that that's just what we do. And this was a life-changing assessment that I took probably 5 years ago that started me on my path, transitioning out of corporate and bringing this to the construction industry. Because for me, it was a game changer. It enabled me to kind of see how I was programmed. And then knowing with neuroplasticity, our neural pathways are plastic. We can rewire them with new feelings and emotions attached to our current actions. So yeah, well, let's dive in. Are you ready to go?
Dive in, man. Let's rock.
So what it's called, and to not turn people off, it's called Energy Leadership Index Assessment. And I kind of look at energy as emotion. So energy, being an electrical engineer, everything is energy. We're vibrating molecules, et cetera. But we control our energy based on our emotional responses and our programming. And what we learn, and to simplify it, there's two types. There's fight or flight. We're all aware of that. Right? Fight or flight energy. And then there's this anabolic, which is that growth oriented, right? So we get to we get to choose consciously which one we use, but unconsciously based on our situation, it's chosen for us based on our programming, right? So, and here's the other kick that you learn: when we're in a dominant catabolic state, fight or flight, our IQ goes down 85 to 90%. So the ability to problem solve a solution, solve a problem in a shit state is almost gone. And I think we got into like your Marine training, right? There was a form of training to put you in the shit show daily. So that fight or flight response, but they had to get it away from you so that when you guys were in a firestorm, that you could troubleshoot and get out, create a solution.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody out there that doesn't know, I was a grunt in the Marine Corps, and basically all you do is just train in the worst possible scenarios. So when that scenario happens, it's just muscle memory at that point in time. It's just drilled into you time after time after time again. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that are prior military that understand that, and guys that have done stuff to think about. It's one of the ways, like, when shit hits the fan, we do stuff, like we have stuff instinctively in us. So we've created systems to allow not an emotional response for stuff to just happen. And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So, to remove the woohoo altogether, like for you, you did the assessment and you were a dominant level 4, which is you like to sit in an anabolic state, and a level 4 is that person that's got a lot of optimism, acceptance, and forgiveness. Really, the level 4 person is looking to partner with someone to help them win, because helping someone else win enables you to win. Hence why you started the software as a service company you did, because it's like you're helping other companies win with a problem you once faced, and then helping them win helps you win. That's kind of how you jump out of bed in the morning. So when we were going through that, how did you experience that feedback?
Well, I know I completely relate with that. I mean, it's like, why do I do this podcast? Because I believe I can help people win. Like, I believed that with my network, the people I know, my experience, like, I'm doing a disservice if I don't do this podcast and get people in front of the people they need to be in front of, or us just having this conversation, or with builder comps. Like, I was in love with working in the construction industry, but I have fallen in love being in service of the industry. I've found more of a passion and more of just alignment with myself personally, professionally. Every aspect of my life has gotten better once I moved in service of something. And the same with the podcast. So when you say that, I completely relate with it, but I spent a lot of my life not doing that.
Right. So, and what happens when you have a dominant level 4 energy? A lot of times we validate ourselves in the success of others. So we find ourselves jumping into other people's crap, wanting to save the world. But what we learned through that conversation is you were in the past, we're trying to save people that weren't ready to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get frustrated, and then you're like, well, I'm a piece of shit because I can't get him to see what I see him to get. And it's just, then we get in this loop of level 1, level 2. And that level 1 is victim at the circumstances. It's like, I got out of the shit. I want to help you get out of the shit, but they're unwilling. They can't hear you. So then they pull you into their shit, And once you saw that, you're like, crap, I got to stop giving people advice that are unwilling to listen to me. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah,
so
so I think a lot of people fall prey to that.
Oh yeah.
And then it's not that you try to validate yourself off of it, but it's unvalidating.
Yeah.
And like you said, it brings you down into that level when you're just trying to move stuff along that people don't even want moved along. So by taking full responsibility and understanding, like, you can't let that stuff affect you. Like, I'm very nowadays I'm very picky about who I let around me and stuff. And I have a better understanding of, I want people around me that want to be around me, because I know I'm going to do whatever I can to help get somebody where they need to go. And if I don't have the right people around me, it's like what came out in our thing is like I can put myself in a position to just get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And just naturally, because if I don't get the right people around me, so for everybody listen, like think about that. Like if you're in a situation where you feel like, even let's say customers, where like you're getting taken advantage of, these are relationships and stuff that we're putting ourselves in inherently because of who we are. And it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just we don't understand it. And once we start to understand this, you can start to really narrow down who you're around, or who do you serve, who does your
Right.
business serve, who do you personally serve, where does your energy go that actually gets multiplied instead of pouring your energy down.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's the thing. What I heard you say there, that's those level 1 and level 2 is that fight or flight, and level 1 is victim at the effect of I can't because of my circumstances. We've all had that buddy drinking on a Friday night who's bitching about his life and woe is me, trying to get everybody to feel sorry for him. And it does work. And those people, there's an advantage for them because they don't have to have personal accountability. They don't have to get engaged in life. Right. And but it, like you said, energetically, I don't want to spend a lot of time with that person. It's draining. Like they're almost like energy vampires, right? It's just like, is he coming tonight? Because if he is, I'm not going to be there, right? Have you ever had those stories before? Those conversations, like, who's coming tonight? Nope. If Mark's there, I'm not coming. That guy's an asshole. He always milks on me all damn night, right? And then that level 2 guy is like always looking for the fight. In order to win, somebody's got to lose. I think what was eye opening for me is you're a dominant level 4 person, and then you go right to that level 3. Yep, your secondary is level 3 is you own your shit. Like, I want to help you, but I'm not going to go down the shit with you because I'm going to stop right here because I know my value and self-worth. I'm not going to go with you. I know that if there's shit in my world right now, it's because of me. If there's greatness in my world, it's because of me. And that's what's amazing. It was amazing to see you in that assessment was I want to help everybody, but I'm going to own my shit. And then you go right to level 5. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work. Let's figure out how to take these bumps in the road that has knocked me on my ass. There's a lesson in there. I'm going to stand back up. And then you go right to, in order to win, someone's got to lose. But you know what? That level 7 conversation is talking to the universe or God. Sometimes when we run out of answers, we need to sit in silence and have that conversation. It's like, all right, I've exhausted all my wisdom. Point me in a direction. And it was just neat to see your assessment results because it really allowed me to see why you've done what you've done, where your sticking points have been, and then how all these shifts and adjustments that you've made on your conscious, unconscious programming to get to that next level. And it's just, again, like you said, we're all looking for that tribal person. We talked about ice baths and 75 hard. And it's like you start to surround yourself with similar energies that are, if you fall down, they're going to kick you in the ass and say, get back up. Let's go. Stop whining. Don't be a baby. Get up. What'd you learn? Let's go. So I love it.
So yeah, I mean, you just gave me chills there because I thought when you said that about like these tribes, like you think about who are you around? What is sucking your energy? I spent too much time around, like you said, around the wrong people. I had to realize that. I had to understand, like, and then move on, no matter how hard it is. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard no matter what. When you make the conscious decision that you're going to go do what's best for you and your family, it's always going to be hard because those people around you don't want to see you go do any better. They people like the Ron. People like the Ron that drank. People like the Ron that did all of this. But Ron wasn't happy. And I think we spend too much time in that where it's all about the happiness of everybody around us. But the thing is you go spend some time, like I talk on here a lot about looking in the mirror, like spending time looking in the mirror. You do enough of that and you realize who you are and you start chasing that, you'll start to find alignment. Like me and Dave met each other. Like it's just amazing that we got connected. And I'm from Ohio. He's from Ohio. He talks about 75 hard. He does. So we have the same kind of interests. We're grinding it out. We want to see people succeed. So then you start to get a new surfer. So it's only lonely for so long. It's amazing. And this worded here now with a lot of virtual stuff that we've gotten, we don't even live that far apart from each other. That's just even enough.
Yeah, we've never personally met face to face. We've met through Zoom, but we're text buddies. Like I'll football games. I'm like, and here's the deal for me, right? I get inspired by the stories of people winning and succeeding, right? And for you on that journey, you've been knocked on your ass. I've been knocked on my ass, and being able to connect with people on a similar journey that are unwilling to quit, it's a different type of support in our corner, right? Entrepreneurship is not for the weak at heart, right? It's really not. And the more people, like when you're a business owner and you're taking care of payroll and you're taking care of expenses, and you're taking, like, it's a lonely road. That's where your product solution solves problems for these business owners. I mean, a lot of end of the day is communication, right? And for me, where I fit in, it's a lot of these business owners that may have board members or investors, and they've got these not so great thoughts, these catabolic thoughts that are kind of like punching them in the gut, but they can't, they feel incapable of communicating with their circle because of judgment. That's where people come to me and they're like, hey man, I feel like a piece of shit right here. And I need someone just to walk me through and help me see a new perspective. And I think that's what the tribe is. I can call you and we're like, hey man, have you looked at it like this? And you're like, oh shit, I'm kicking ass. Right?
Yeah, well, so one thing that came up it came up in my mind after we talked and I processed our conversation and stuff was, like I can't babysit relationships, but I have a tendency to be the one that the one that's like the babysitter of the relationship. And I can't do that because for one, I hate it. Like it's not even something I enjoy. So, I mean, I just made the decision, like I can't be the babysitter in the relationship.
Yeah.
Like that's just not me, because that's how I end up in these situations where I can be taken advantage of.
Right there. Like if I go to back to your energy leadership index assessment, your level 1 is less than 10%. So what I heard you say there is you have low tolerance for victim mentality. Like I can't because of, and you're like, dude, I was told I can't be a Marine because I had tattoos. Mm-hmm. I saved up my money and I got that shit lasered off because that's what I wanted to do. Don't tell me I can't do something. And I don't want to hear you bitch to me telling me you can't. So it's like, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Because if you have a team member that's coming to level 1, you got to figure out how to kick their ass and get them at least pissed off at themselves for them being a pansy in that moment. but you also have to be empathetic enough to be able to help them transition. Right. So yeah, it was awesome how you sat in it and you really embraced kind of your results and kind of shared how it showed up for you.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think, you're doing great things. I mean, you've helped a lot of guys. I've got to meet some of the guys you helped as well. And no, it's powerful stuff when we really dive into not just how we do stuff, but why we do it.
Yeah.
And how we can fix that.
Yep.
And I got to say that Dave asked one of the best questions. I'm guilty of the copycatting him on the show because sometimes I'll utilize it. So if you're ever in a conversation with Dave, be prepared for this one. Is what did you just hear there? And I absolutely love that question because it's being in the communication bit. Like that is such a critical question to ask because you don't know what people hear out of what you say. And you always ask to validate that. And I'll do it sometimes on here when I feel like I've been rambling some. I'll ask the guest, I'll be like, what did you just hear there?
Yeah. And that's part of my NLP training, right? It's what I've learned is, I don't know if we did that exercise, it's like the exercise was, I see a man with binoculars. And most people say, oh yeah, I see a man on the beach. He's bird watching. I was like, no, I see a man with binoculars. I'm using the binoculars to see the man. Right. Because it can be interpreted several different ways. And I do a lot of my coaching through metaphorical stories. I share a lot of stories about my personal growth experiences, journeys with my kids and my wife. But I'll tell a story trying to prove a point or trying to get them to trigger some emotion. And I'll ask, hey man, what did you see, hear, and feel from that story I just shared from you? And sometimes it'll come out of right field. I'm like, that's not where I was going with this, but I like, but it gets me to understand how they hear, how they're, processing. And, and as leaders, what makes us as business owners, right? If we're delegating, tasks to our team member, do they understand what you're telling them to do? Are you giving them enough information? Do they know how to win? I can't tell you how many teammates that I've worked with, these business owners, and they have me come in and collaborate with the team without them there. And they're like, oh yeah, he's just always pissed because we don't do this, this, and this. And like, well, do you know how to win? We have no fucking idea. Like, so you don't know how to win. And I'll tell you what, you tell me how to win, I'm running through a wall. And almost any human being would. If they don't know how to win, they're gonna be timid. They don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to be yelled at. They don't want to do things wrong. But in the end of the day, they don't know how to do things right.
I just think it's a great question. I think great leaders ask great questions.
Yeah.
And not only do they ask great questions, they ask questions that require a great response. And that to me is an amazing question. And I wanted to bring that up before we wrapped up here today, because I love it. I absolutely love it. And it has so much impact. I look at it from not just the sales process, but relationship wise, husband, wife, employee, kids, anybody in your life. When you're trying to make some kind of point or having a conversation, asking a question like that can clarify how you are coming across. And then what ends up happening, I think is amazing, is you start to have a better understanding of how people interpret what you say. Correct. So then you can start changing some of that because you got more data, you have a better understanding.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're right. It has made me a better husband, a better father, learning how to slow down, and it's stupid, right? I got teenagers, getting them to do laundry, and it's like, I think Jocko said this, I was yelling at my kids because they weren't doing their laundry. And then it dawned on me, I never taught them how to do it. I just assumed, well, I know how to do it, you should know how to do it, right? And it's like, no, let's go figure out how to do laundry. Let me teach you step by step. But same thing. It's like if you're in construction, well, they know how to put up a stud wall and hang drywall. Well, do they know how to do it the way you do it? Like, do they need to know your way, or is there a special process your company does? Like, I've got some concrete clients. It's like, and they have a special technology on the way they finish concrete. I'm like, well, do you have a training manual? Do they have a box that they have to check showing that they've watched that train? Like, you're pissed off because it's not finished right, but do they know how to finish that product? You know what I mean? So it's like you said, it's like if we're not communicating effectively and being understood, we're trying to get across them. We're shitty leaders.
Mm-hmm. I love it, man. Great time. Great episode. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you out there? All the construction champions.
So tapmental.io. So TAPMENTAL.io.
All right, Dave. It's been fantastic having you on the show again.
Thanks again, man. This is awesome. I always love hanging out with you.
Yeah.
You're part of the tribe that's going to kick me in the ass and won't let me feel sorry for myself. Like, let's
absolutely,
go.
Man.
Let's do it.
We're going to do amazing things for others. So
let's do it.
All right, construction champions. A little bit different of an episode here today. What I want you to do is jump on our website, constructionchampionspodcast.com. Let us know what you thought. Do you like this format? What did you hate it? Did you think, like, why was Ron and Dave on here talking for 30 minutes? There's better things I could have done with my time. Or were you like, man, that was really, really good? I would love to hear your feedback. Because as we continue to grow this show, this is episode 68. I'm not stopping. We're going to continue putting out 2 episodes a week. Your guys' feedback will help us put out the best possible shows so we can have the impact on the construction industry that we want to have. So, construction champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum here, and I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.